Does it say live? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Captain Hook Podcast, Season 7, Episode 17, Chosen. Sorry. I think that's what everybody's opinion was about this particular episode. Well, not everybody's, but a lot of people. I am not going to waste time in this episode discussing Lana acting chops. I really wasn't judging it based on that at all because I could care less. Overall story in this, it takes up right where episode 16 left off. Henry is still in danger. He's been kidnapped by Nick / Jack / Crazy to try to keep him out of the way while Hansel continues to murder witches, more specifically Zelena. Apparently, his original goal was to take out Gothel, but when he realized that it was there, he tried not to do it out of deference to Henry, because she was Henry's family, but he just couldn't keep his urges in line anymore, and he decided he had to go after her, because in his mind, she is the one that started it all.
She didn't.
Even though really it was the blind witch that started it all, but well, he got her anyway. Anyhow. So, Henry is in Nick's clutches. Jacinda thinks he's left for New York and interview for a new job. And yeah, that's... Oh, and Zelena's heretofore mysterious fiance finally makes an appearance. That's basically the gist of this episode. We do get a couple questions answered. Par for the course, because the season is winding to a close, so they're having to get rid of a lot of the dangling plot lines, and one of the big ones being the candy killer. So, in flashbacks, we learn that the blind witch, of course, hid Hansel and Gretel, as is, you know from the Hansel and Gretel story, and going to eat them or burn them alive, blah, blah, blah. Zelena does not like the blind witch being there, because this blind witch is not in the Enchanted Forest. This blind witch is in Oz. And Zelena not too happy about that, because she don't like other witches in territory. She goes over to the blind witch gingerbread house, and she tells her, get the fuck out. Of course, the blind witch is like, you get the fuck out, bitch. And down on her real hard.
Yeah.
In a weird sort of back and forth, she manages to get the drop on the blind witch for a few minutes, which leaves her and Gretel, and of course they're begging her to set them free, but she's like, I don't care about y'all. I'm just here to get rid of the witch. And in that moment of not keeping her eye on the ball, the witch lays the smackdown pretty damn hard, so hard that she not only loses control of her magic, but she goes unconscious.
Oh, damn it. Oh. Hi. Hey, Ro. Hero. Hero. Thank Jesus.
What she does come to find out was that he is the father of Hansel and Gretel, and he spends his nights out in the forest looking for his children, desperately.
Aww.
Because apparently after their mother died, he says he wasn't too good of a father. He spent more time with his work than with his children, and his children became very lonely and susceptible, and that's why his children got kidnapped, and now he wants to be a better father to his children.
That's understanding.
So in the time that Zelena spends there, in this vulnerable state where her magic's not working too well and she's weak, she becomes a little bit dependent on him, and he shows her that there is someone in this world that can see her for who she is, beyond the magic and
wickedness.
wickedness.
Nastiness.
You just know her as she is, the real
Aw.
person. Which is a very different side to Zelena than what we've seen in the past. Other than Hades and the fiance that she has right now, Zelena is not much for relationships. She's always, out for numero uno, number one. Well, other than Robin, of course. I mean, daughter, not Robin Hood. This is the first time I've actually seen her be vulnerable around somebody else, somebody that she doesn't know. And I think the fact that he was blind kind of gave her a safety blanket to do that, because he couldn't see her green skin, so he wouldn't know who she really was. Being that this guy was in Oz, there's no way that he could know who the Wicked Witch was. I mean, she rules Oz. Everybody knows who the Wicked Witch was. And if he had been able to see her and know who she really was, he wouldn't have even taken her in. But because he couldn't see her, all he had to judge her on was her actions. And because she, I think, is a little enamored with him, and she is, she enjoys his friendship and the fact that he has been so kind to her, she decides to go and find his children and set them free, and maybe even get him, find a way for him to get his sight back so he can be happy. She has a confrontation with the blind witch at the cottage, at the gingerbread house, and steals her sight, which is how she becomes blind in the first place. And when she goes in to free the children, the cages are empty. And at first she thinks that the children that she's, killed the children. And she realizes the only thing she has left to bring back to him is the gift of sight. She thinks that maybe that might be enough to assuage him. But when she returns to the cabin, to the cottage, she realizes that the children escaped and made their way back to their father and told him everything about her.
Oh, Lord.
Which, wah, wah, wah. Bad day for Zelena.
Yeah.
She tries to explain. She tries to get him to understand that she wants to be a better person, and that she, that the person that he knew her as is the real her. She even gives him the eyes to say that, I was going to give you back your eyesight so you could be a whole person again. But he doesn't want to hear anything of it. So he would rather be blind and with his children than have his eyesight and have to deal with her. So she says, if you want to be blind, then stay blind. And she throws the magic in the fireplace, causing the fire to spark and to hit Hansel in the arm. And that's how Hansel got burned. Originally in the story, the blind witch was the one that burned them up, trying to incinerate them in her oven, and they managed to escape. But I guess this story had a little twist, of course. And it was Zelena that caused it. And after that is when Gretel decided she would never be that powerless again. And that's when she started learning magic, which ultimately led her to the coven and Gothel killing her. Well, via Drusilla. And also caused Hansel to lose his mind.
Yeah.
And go after all these witches. So when he met Henry in the Enchanted Forest, when they were in their late teens, right after he came there from Storybrooke, he knew that Henry, had a family, but he hadn't met them yet. And heretofore, he'd been able to keep his urges in check and not say anything about what he'd been doing. But when Henry's family showed up, meaning Regina and Zelena and all of them, and he realized that they were witches, magic users, he tried for Henry's sake and for their friendship, not to do what he felt he needed to do. But after a while, he just couldn't hold on to that. He couldn't hold it in any longer.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that right as he was about to to commit a murder, that's probably when the curse was cast. And they were all sent to Hyperion Heights. This episode answers the question of how Nick came to be awake in the first place. I don't believe that when he was first sent there, he was obviously cursed. So I think when we first met Nick, he genuinely was cursed and had no idea who he was because there hadn't been any murders yet. I think
Exactly.
somewhere along the way, Leah woke him up,
Yep.
and that's when the murder started.
Exactly. So he's not that he was. At first, we thought he was a he was a killer of the coven, but then we found out that it was exactly Council who was the killer of the witches of the coven, and he was woken by Facilier when Facilier came to Hyperion Heights after he's been hiding so long because after the curse brought them here to Hyperion Heights. That's when he found out he was who he was and stuff.
Right, and that's when he remembered his inclinations to wanting the witches dead. He made a deal with Facilier, obviously, that he would kill Gothel for him. Unfortunately, well, he didn't have to worry about Zelena at first because Zelena was in San Francisco. So that really wasn't preying on his mind until Zelena returned to Hyperion Heights to help Regina deal with this curse problem.
So
that's when the killing started getting really bad. And Ro is here. Ro is here.
And with his Zelena picture.
Oh, just to let everyone know, I'm such an idiot. I forgot to do introductions. We have me, Captain Hook Podcast here. We have Daniela. And we have
Hello.
Ro. And Ro. Say hi, Ro.
Hi, Ro.
Pip could not be here. She's there's a bad storm going on in her neck of the woods, so her Wi-Fi is being sketchy today.
Oh.
But I'm sure she is here in spirit. Ro, you have a Wicked Witch avatar. I know this had to be your favorite episode ever because it was so Zelena centric. You must have loved it.
Well, it's just because the last.
I can't hear him.
Ro, I can't hear you. I can barely hear you. Hello?
So I think his mic. I think he's trying. I think
His mic is off.
Yep.
Well, hopefully he'll get his. Ro, are you there? I can barely hear you. I think he's having some mic problems.
That happened to me a lot in the past. If you guys remember from the CPS podcast, remember when my mic was like a little fuzzy?
Well, hopefully he'll be able to fix his mic problems.
Yeah.
I can hear you just a tiny little bit, Ro.
Me too.
Well, so Henry is still being held captive by Nick, and I was right when I said this last week that it wasn't Nick's intention to kill him. I think he genuinely values his friendship with Henry. He's trying to convince Henry that what he says is true, that he is Hansel, he's from the Enchanted Forest, and his only mission is to kill these witches to stop them from doing all these evil deeds. Yeah.
All the ways for his revenge and stuff.
He even goes so far as showing Henry the paternity test that he stole from the doctor at the hospital. You know, when Henry gave blood in order to help Lucy when she was in that coma. Henry can see it for himself that he is the father. You are the father of this child, and he still doesn't believe it. He tries some sneaky tactics to try to gain Nick's trust and get him to believe that he really does believe what Nick is saying, but Nick knows Henry too well, even going so far as offering to use the author power to rewrite Hansel's story. But Nick knows Henry too well, and he knows that Henry will not use the author power unless it's an emergency or unless it's something dire.
Like, I don't know, go back to Storybook, bring the original Robin Hood back to life or something like that.
Well, he wouldn't do it unless he really, really had to. Unless he really, really had to do it, and he certainly wouldn't rewrite someone's story because that's interfering in a way that you really can't do.
Yeah.
So So in order to keep Henry out of the way, well, there's a point where Henry just gets so frustrated with Nick that he inadvertently blurts out that, you know, you're going to kill someone who has a family, who has a sister and a fiance, and all, you know, all of them are going to know that she's gone. They're going to catch you, you know, they're going to find you. And we were all like, oh, you idiot. You told him the witch he wants dead has a fiance. That's leverage, you moron. Leverage. So this is how Nick finds out that Zelena has a weak spot, and that weak spot's name is Chad.
Oh, Lord.
On the other side of town, back at Ronnie's, Regina has finally come back from her trip searching for a root that she can use to cure Henry of this poison disease, whatever it was he was cursed with, so that they can finally break the curse without killing him. And Zelena is a little upset because, well, one, she knows she's being trailed by a psycho, and two, Chad has been blowing up her phone nonstop, wanting to know where she is, because she was only supposed to be gone for a short time, and they're right about to get married, so he hasn't heard from her, and he's wondering what's going on. She doesn't know what to tell him. She's afraid if she tells him the truth, that he's going to think she's either psycho or that, you know, she's a murderer, and why would he want to be with someone like me? No one's ever wanted to be with someone like me. But Regina tells her that, well, if he really does care about you as much as you claim he does, and whatever you did in the past, it won't matter to him. It will be in your past. So Zelena at least calls him to let him know that she's alive, you know, that she's okay. But once Nick finds out that she has a fiance, he decides to use that fiance as leverage. I don't know how he managed to do this that quick, but he called Chad, told Chad that Kelly got into an accident and that he needed to come down as quickly as possible, which is what he did. He hopped a flight and flew in as quickly as possible to come see her, and Nick met him at the airport and grabbed him and forced him to make a phone call. So here's Zelena thinking he's at the airport. Oh shit, what am I going to tell him? When in reality, he's been abducted by Nick. While all of this is going on, Rogers, Hook, has found out that Henry's car has been found abandoned on the side of the road and that he never got on his flight. Now, this is what I was going to make. This is what I wanted to talk about. I know that all of us have said that there's been some issues where we don't see a lot of chemistry going on between Jacinda and Henry unless it's in certain moments. Well, when Rogers went to meet up with Jacinda and let her know what was going on, that Henry's car was left abandoned on the side of the road and he hasn't been seen and that he never got on the flight, her reaction was just like, eh. I mean, if it was me and it was someone that I cared about, someone that I loved, and they just disappeared off the face of the earth, I think I would react a little more. I mean, I think I would have more of a reaction than just, oh, really? You know, she didn't seem to have, like, she didn't seem scared for him. She didn't seem worried enough. It's like she was like, oh, found his car? Really? Oh, wow, that's so strange. Like, it was like nothing there. Maybe
But
that's
this
just...
was also Lana's time directing.
Well, you think Lana... Oh, I can finally hear you now. You think Lana told her to just, you know, not react?
Maybe.
Daniela, did you notice this too? Hello? Daniela?
I'm not sure.
So, Ro, what did you think of Zelina last night? What was your opinion? Zelina's flashbacks and Chad and all this mess.
You know, I mean, it was all right. Just another day in Oz with a Wicked Witch.
But she's your favorite.
I know, but I don't really think the flashbacks held as much weight as some of the previous ones have.
You have a point. Like I said, it's gotten to the point where they're just really doing whatever they can to tie up the loose ends, you know?
Yeah, but I really like the really praise to Nathan Parsons. He didn't do not so bad as Jack, even though he wasn't seen much this season. And I want to really appreciate Regine. I know you guys don't. In my opinion, Lana did a good job directing this episode, and I really like the whole sister scenes between Lana and Rebecca when they're doing Selena and Regina in the present time, and also the whole story,
Together.
little twist.
What, Ro?
They've always loved working together.
Oh, yeah. I will admit, you are right. The scene at the end with Regina and Zelina was exquisitely done. And I also liked all the scenes between the woodcutter and her. I thought those were some great scenes. It's so rare to see Zelina in a vulnerable state that when you do, that's when it seems like that's when Rebecca really brings it out. Like she really brings the A game. She was vulnerable in those flashbacks. She was vulnerable with Chad in the storeroom of the bar when she was having to deal with Nick. She was vulnerable at the end where, you know, she had to kind of put her cards on the table and be like, you know, this is me. I did some pretty shitty things in the past. There's no excuses for what I did. I can't make, you know, and I've been trying to make up for those things. I'm trying to be a better person, better than I was. But this time was different because in the past, when someone would say, "Ugh, it doesn't matter what you say, you're horrible, you're a witch," she would just get angry and do something violent. But this time, when he says to her, you know, "I know what you're saying," before he's even able to say anything at all, she immediately assumes that he's going to dump her. And instead of getting angry or getting violent, she's resigned. She accepts it because she knows that, you know, this is who she is. And she gives the ring back to him, assuming that he's going to break up with her. That's the first time I've seen her actually be genuine and not, like, be a total shrew.
I know.
Which is, you know, again, I think being a mom has helped her to change in a lot of ways. So it was nice to see that things worked out, you know, that he said that he, you know, everyone has a past, and that when he got into a relationship with her, he signed up for everything, not just the good parts, but everything, good and bad. So whether it's Zelina or Kelly, that he loved them both, and he still wanted to marry her. So I guess now she's going to go back to San Francisco to get married, and then maybe come back after that, because I know she's still filmed.
Mm-hmm.
She's in the finale, so I know I don't know how she's going to explain it to him, but so Rogers is badass. Let me just say, Colin was badass.
Abby.
Kicked in the door, rescued Henry, fishtailed out the parking lot. Badass. He rescues Henry and returns him to safety.
Yeah.
To Jacinda, where everybody's happy. No kisses yet, but happy.
Thank Jesus, because I don't want Henry to die so soon.
You know, that scene, even though it was sweet that she was happy that he was back, she still didn't seem like really worried enough for my taste. She didn't, if this was her true love, her husband, or I mean, I get that she doesn't remember him as her husband, but it's obvious she has feelings for him, very strong feelings. So you would think she would be more worried. You would think everybody would be more worried, but they just weren't, and they just seemed kind of complacent, like, oh, well, I'm sure Rogers will find him. He'll turn up. No big deal. I don't know.
I'm very like I'm not very feeling Jacinda, the only character besides her, and I'm not feeling Jacinda. I'm more feeling Ella than Jacinda, because if it were Ella, she would have been crying, upset, and worried, nervous for Henry's safety more than because they are true love and they're husband and wife and stuff. But Jacinda's barely worried for him. It's like that he should have been crying, worrying, consulted by Lucy and Sabine, aka Tiana. And I was like,
She seemed more emotional about the fact that
he's staying.
When they were starting to get into it and then Lucy put the brakes on it, she was more emotional about that than she was about the fact that he could have been killed. I don't know. I will say this, though. I like the scene between Naveen and Tiana in the food truck.
I know.
I like the actor. I think he did a good job in the scene. I could sense that he didn't want to do what he was doing, but Basilea's got him under his thumb.
Yeah. He
but
like Naveen truly loves Naveen loves Tiana, but he's forced to trick her and all that stuff and gain her trust for all the wrong reasons because he's manipulated by Facilier or whatever he wants to do that for.
I wouldn't say love just yet. Remember, he doesn't know her all that well, and she doesn't know him all that well either. They only had known each other for a short while during that whole crocodile escapade thing, before the curse was cast. So she only knew him for a really short time, and I will grant you, there's definitely chemistry there, and there's feelings there. But if I know Sabine the way I think I do, when she finds out, and she will find out, that her trust was broken, that Drew has been lying to her and using her, that's not going to go down very well.
But once the curse is going to be broken, it could change.
Because she trusted him by showing him her recipe and how to make the beignets, which is something that she covets that. That's something that was handed down in her family. She doesn't show that to anybody. But she trusted him enough to show him how to make the beignets, and he used that to give to Facilier to do whatever he did with that voodoo doll. Apparently, like love, trust is also a powerful form of magic. So he sprinkled that over the voodoo doll, and then when he took it to Nick, he wanted Nick to kill Gothel. Nick got distracted and went after Zelena and failed. So I guess Facilier feels like he can't bother with Nick anymore because he's a loose end. So he killed him.
Like that.
So whatever possibility I think that people were hoping for between Regina and Facilier, I don't think I want to go there. This guy's a murderer.
He's evil and he's a trickster.
He obviously wants Rumple's power. That's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And just because he does a couple nice things for Regina does not make him a good person.
I just think I see in Basileia right now. I see more of Rumpel, how Rumpel was in the past seasons. In Facilier, he wants, for some reason, he's so desperate, and he uses manipulation and lies and tricks to get what he wants. He doesn't realize how many people he hurts and then destroys and kills in the way. And he's going at it the wrong way, where we're getting what he wants with Rumpel's dagger. And trying to get rid of Gothel and
Well,
stuff.
it's all going to come to a head next week, I'm pretty certain.
And
Now, okay, I just want to put this out there. For anybody that got the wrong idea with anything that I might have posted or anything anybody else posted last night at the very end of the episode, Danielle and Ro, you probably did not see this because you're in different countries, but there was literally 1 minute left of the episode, and then the news broke in and interrupted it because Trump decided to make some kind of announcement about bombing Syria. And everybody on Tumblr is like, what was Facilier going to say? Oh my God! You know, and some people, you know, once Trump finished and then the news cut back out and they allowed the rest of the episode to air, which was literally like 30 seconds. Couldn't have waited 30 seconds. Anyway, people were like, why do you think that the show is more important than what's going on in the Middle East? I'm like, okay, hold up. At the time when people were posting that stuff, nobody knew what was going on. We just knew that it was being interrupted for something right at the end. So yeah, we were a little pissy. But once we realized what the president was trying to say and what was really going on, everybody kind of quieted down. The only thing I think maybe they were irritated about was that because they had to wait a little bit extra time for the remaining 30 seconds of the episode to air, we knew that we wouldn't get any gifts or any links until the West Coasters saw it, because they'd be the only ones to get a clean feed without the news breaking in. So we had to wait like another 3 hours, which kind of sucked. But yeah, so please don't anybody think that we value the show more than what's going on in the rest of the world. Okay, please. We were just kind of frustrated. That's all. But it took a little while, but eventually we did get to see the promo. So next week's episode 18, The Guardian, revolves around Alice. And Facilier is going after Alice because I guess he believes that she's the Guardian. And Rumpel knows that he's going after Alice and has to convince Hook, who probably at the time does not want to trust Rumpel because of, other things.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, Killian's past with Rumpel is still the same as the Killian that we know. So
yeah.
at that time, you remember early in the season, we all kind of wondered why it was that Killian Wishhook was so friendly towards Rumpelstiltskin.
Exactly.
When in the past he would never have been so. He might have tolerated his presence, but they were never friends. So we all kind of surmised that something had to happen to change his way of thinking. And it wasn't just the fact that he had a child. Something had to happen. And in this episode, I'm pretty certain we're going to find out what it was that happened that caused Tilly to be so indebted to Rumpel, and why she's so close to Rumpel, and why Killian seems kind of indebted to Rumpel in a sort of way too. So we're going to get that backstory, but it has to do with the Guardian and Facilier wanting that dagger. And
maybe he wants to get rid of the darkness part of the dagger and use the power part for whatever he wants to do. That's why he needs Alice. Facilier, I mean. That's why Facilier needs Alice to get rid of the darkness in the dagger so he can use the power to do whatever he's planning to do.
I don't know, but I think that Rumpel does something to save Alice. And that leaves Killian indebted to him, because prior to this, Rumple had not given in to the darkness for a very long time. A very long time.
Yeah.
And he was trying not to do so because, as we know from what information that we learned, every time he uses his darkness or gives into it, it takes him that much farther away from his goal of reuniting with Belle, because he has to, I think he has to have a pure heart or something.
Yeah.
So prior to this, to whatever it was that happened, he didn't have the green scaly. He was normal.
Yeah.
But then, if you remember, when the curse was cast, he was green scaly again. And the only way you get that is if you give into the darkness, or at least for him anyway. So whatever he did, I think, to protect her, he had to dip into his darkness to do it.
Exactly.
And he sacrificed a lot. Like, he sacrificed the ability to be with Belle, basically.
Yeah, and when I saw Vasily's heart being taken out, I saw that his dark was dark, but had a lot of reddish.
It was like red in the middle and dark on the outside.
Means that he has some good in himself, but he also has his darkness. It's in him too.
Yeah.
Means that maybe or maybe now there's hope that he may change in the last minute or so. I don't know.
I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be crazy. I think they're really starting to ramp up the action and the drama as we get closer to the finale. And they have, ABC has posted the finale dates and times. So in order to clear up any confusion, because I know some people were like, but the finale is on the 11th, or the finale is this date, but you said it was supposed to be on the 18th, and now you're saying it's this date. People got confused. Normally, Once Upon a Time ends the finale as a 2-hour final episode. 21 and 22 normally air back to back.
Yeah.
As one finale episode. This time, they're not doing it like that. They're airing 21 and 22 on separate nights, which is why the show is ending about a week later than what it normally would.
Mm-hmm.
So, I forget what episode 21 is supposed to be called. Homecoming, I think.
Homecoming
Homecoming is on the 11th, and on the 18th is the series finale, episode 22, Leaving Storybrooke.
Yeah.
It's one finale, but broken up over 2 separate nights. So part 1 is the 11th, Homecoming. Part 2 is Leaving Storybrooke on the 18th.
Exactly.
Hopefully that clears that up.
Yeah. And also, I'm really gonna enjoying these last episodes because I really don't want to get to the emotional part until the last until the 2 last episodes come. Because I really want to enjoy this show as much as I can before I get very emotional, because it's the end of an era, and I don't want Joy to only cry and bitter. I want Joy happy and thankful,
I want us to end this season with a smile, because this whole year has been so divisive. The fandom has grown overly toxic. It's almost like Republican and Democrat politics. I mean, it's so split. And I hate to see it like that, because this is the last couple of, we have what, 18, 19, 20, we have 5 episodes left. 5. And then the show goes away forever. I would really hope that by now that they would have let the bygones be bygones and come together for the sake of,
Apparently not.
Thank God your mic is better, bro.
I've tried another headset.
That's cool.
But they're so hung up over the fact that they hate season 7 that they're going to be that toxic when there's only 5 episodes left. I mean, all I've seen on Twitter and on Tumblr is, oh, Lana Priya's directing was so horrible. It's awful. Ugh. And then complaining about how she's an overblown windbag attention whore. And I'm like,
fuck?
I'm like, really? Okay. I will admit, I've never been the biggest Lana fan. But at this point, does it matter? Like, does it really matter? We have 5 episodes left. Do you care how she directed the episode? Do you
I
really
do.
care that the ratings slipped just a little? Do you really give a shit? It doesn't
Not
matter.
really.
At this
I
point,
do.
it doesn't matter what the ratings are. The show has been canceled. It's not
I
coming
know.
back. It could this episode could have been a 0.1 or it could have been a 1.5. It wouldn't make a fucking difference.
She
It's
rocked it.
done.
For me, she rocked it. She did it she nailed it for me, and I really care for it. But I don't like people insulting her just because they don't like her. Yeah, I respect the people who are not fans of Regina and Outlaw Queen and all that stuff, and other people Regal like myself. But is the insultness and the maturity and the verbal attacks online is very immature, and I don't have time for it. I just want to enjoy what's left of the show. I want to enjoy what's left of seeing Lana and all the cast in it, and I have no time for immaturity and bullying bullshit. I have time to enjoy
Yeah.
this.
Ro, opinions, thoughts, discuss.
Yes. It's like Killian says, bad form.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it wasn't always easy with us when Jen was on the show and we would hear and read stuff about her. And that's the real reason I say to myself, don't do that to any other of the cast, because we are not like that. We have to be better than the people who were always bashing Colin, Jen, or Sean for that matter. Which is why I don't do that, and I don't make a big deal out of Lana just directing because she wants to try new things. I mean, okay, I can understand if people are more enthusiastic about Jen directing Sundogs and her movie being on Netflix, but you don't have to compare them. Okay, they're just different people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what drives me nuts. I mean, Jen directs a music video or Sundogs or The List, whatever. Oh my God, it's the most amazing thing in the world. Give this woman an Emmy. Lana directs something for the first time, mind you. This was her directorial debut.
Exactly.
Oh, this sucks. It's disgusting. She's horrible. Oh my God, this is awful. And this is not because of their capabilities as directors or actors. This just boils down to their hatred of a person. If this was directed by any other member of the cast, even if it was Bobby, they would have something like, "Oh, this was really well done. They did a great job." But because it's Lana, I can't believe I'm sitting here defending Lana. But I mean, it's not. I'm not sitting here defending Regina. I'm defending Lana as a person, not as an actress, not as a director, not as the evil queen, just as a human being. No one deserves to be shit on just because you don't like the character they play. Character, actors, two different things. I might not always agree with some of the ways that Lana approaches things when she's with the fans and stuff. I know there's some shit that's questionable that she's done, but in her heart of hearts, she's a decent person. And she doesn't deserve, I mean, nobody deserves that shit. Really. Really.
Dude, I'm enjoying this moment of you defending Lana. I never thought in a million years that you would do this, and I'm proud of you, girl.
Well, I'm a human. I have a heart. Lana's a human too. I might not really like Regina all that much, although I will say this year, I actually like Ronnie. And if she stays like that and doesn't, no more pantsuits and just, Ronnie, I would probably like Regina a whole hell of a lot more because she was able to come out of her shell and really be Regina. She seems so comfortable in her own skin in this character more than she ever was as the mayor. Like, honest to God, I wish she would, if she never went back to Storybrooke except to visit and just stayed in Hyperion Heights as Ronnie, I think she'd be blissfully happy.
She doesn't even make a big deal out of the fact that the curse changed her identity. She's just brushing it off. Oh, so I got a tattoo. Whatevs.
Well, this ain't her first go around. She's dealt with curses before, but she just seems so much more free. Like Regina's problem was that she was never comfortable in her own skin because she always felt like she was having to do what everyone else wanted her to do or be what everyone else wanted her to be. She never wanted to be queen. She got stuck that way. Well, at the end of the day, she did make her own choices. She didn't have to be a bitch like that and do all the things that she did. But Cora did have a lot of influence in what happened in her life. So I will agree with the fact that a lot of people have said, well, you know, she constantly claims that no one has ever seen the real her. And I'm like, Regina, you know, that's not fucking true. Tinkerbell tried to help you. She introduced you to your soulmate. You decided to be an evil bitch anyway. I know you said you were scared, but you ran her off, and because of that, she lost her wings. Snow, to her own detriment and to the detriment of her husband and her unborn child, whom you know, caused her to have to live without for 28 years, still valued your life enough not to execute you when the whole kingdom wanted you dead. Because she still saw something in you that she thought she could save. And you're going to stand here and tell me that no one sees you as everybody always says I'm evil and no one likes me. I mean, that's not true. But anyhow, that's not important.
Well, not for this episode.
The overall thing is that my opinions about this episode, I thought that Rebecca did a fantastic job. There were some hits or misses with the episode itself. Like I felt like it was kind of filler, sort of. But every scene that Rebecca was in was great. Like it's just funny because I never used to like Zelena at all. I hated her character. I think I hated her. But now in season 7, she's so changed that she's actually likable now, and I'm kind of like rooting for her. And when she said she was going back to San Francisco, I was like, no, you can't go back. You're going to stay. I don't want you to go away. I like you. No, stay. I can't believe I'm saying this. I used to hate her guts. Now I really like her.
Well, in the beginning of all since the past seasons and the first part of season 6, I was still not liking Zelena. I was liking Zelena after she saved Regina from Hades in season 5. That's when I really officially started to like her more as a hero, because I couldn't stand her when as a villain. But now, season 7, she's really changed. She's not the evil, wicked witch she was before. She's another person. I'm very glad to see her like that, and I'm very sad. I was very sad that she had to leave the Hyperion Heights, but I'm hoping since Rebecca already filmed for the finale, we'll see her and Chad back. And maybe they'll go to Storybrooke once they deal with Gothel Bitch.
I don't know. I mean, okay. You know the theory that the curse sent them all back to a time before anyone in Storybrooke actually left?
I haven't heard that theory.
Me neither.
Well, basically they're back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a possibility.
Yeah, so maybe this Zelena in Storybrooke isn't the one we've been watching.
What?
Possible.
Well, it's just that Regina said herself when she was talking to Gold, like, they can't know we're here, when talking about she can't contact Storybrooke. So I'm thinking that maybe there are already versions of them already living there, and that's why they can't, cross their own timeline.
I don't know. All I know is that Storybrooke exists kind of in its own
thing,
like pocket universe, sort of.
Yeah.
I don't know how curses affect Storybrooke if it's a curse that takes place outside of Storybrooke. I don't know how exactly that affects what's going on in Storybrooke.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, if a certain member of the Swan Jones family is to be believed to be appearing in the finale, it's kind of confusing how Lucy can already be the age of 10, whereas this unconfirmed character is very, very young.
Older. Or
Yeah,
old.
because
Yeah.
Emma was pregnant before Henry
And just
before
so you know,
Henry even married Ella.
yeah,
So-
yeah. It's because look, Emma was Emma was pregnant before Henry and Jacinda, and got married. So how in the Seven Shades of Hell is this little girl, um, even still a baby?
Oh, I don't know. I've gotten to a point where I don't try to figure out their hackneyed timeline anymore. It's so confusing at this point and so fucked up that I don't even bother to try.
Well, does anybody really want to do a whole season in the future where like 3 decades have passed? I mean, how would you keep up with the future technology?
True. I don't know. All I know for sure is that when Adam and Eddie were asked what year it was at the beginning of season 7, they were told that it's 2017. They told us that it's 2017 in Hyperion Heights when season 7 starts. And I'm like, but that would mean if the original show in season 6 ends in 2013, I want to say. Because Adam and Eddie had said that Frozen had not, as a movie, had not come out yet. I can't remember what year Frozen came out. Was it 2013? 2014? Something like that? They said that
It was around Christmas.
They said that Frozen had not become big yet in Storybrooke's universe. So it's got at least be 4 years, at the least 3 to 4 years between season 6 and season 7. And yet Lucy is 10. The only explanation they gave for this was that the Enchanted Forest that Lucy is from, time runs differently.
Yeah.
That 10 years can pass for her in that Enchanted Forest in only a couple years. But Robin is fully grown. How the fuck? Robin was never in the Enchanted Forest. Robin was in Storybrooke. And she's fully fucking grown. I'm confused.
Yeah. I can only assume that the curse sent them back to a time before any of that even happened.
I don't know. It's possible. Again, I don't like to speculate till I know for sure. So, any final thoughts about episode 17? Ro, we didn't really get to hear what you thought about it because your mic was cutting out. So now that your mic's back, any thoughts?
Well, I mean, it was good. I mean, we got developments with all the subplots with Facilier, and they wrapped up Nick's story. And we also got a bit of Drew and Sabine. So, overall, I'd give it maybe like a 7 out of 10. But I don't know. The flashbacks just felt kind of, run of the mill. Zelena's just having another bad day in Oz, and she tries to learn something, but she doesn't. I mean, maybe at the time they didn't know that this would be the last season, but now that they do, it's kind of underwhelming that this is her last centric, so they could have done more. I mean, it's just, I just can't believe we're never going to get another centric with her. Because, even when she was being wicked, I really enjoyed Bex's performance. I enjoyed the character, her wickedness, her sassiness and how she like interacted with a lot of the characters. And, I get this sense of satisfaction out of knowing she was brought back to life, or the twist is that she was never actually dead, because I thought she had a lot more potential. And, happy endings aren't always what you think they're going to be, and hers obviously was reconciling with her sister and, like, finding this other kind of love in her life with her daughter. And it's obviously changed her. She still has a bit of Zelena in her, but I think Kelly was the real turning point for her, where she realized that she just wanted to put it all behind her and just embrace being happy. And she can still keep the relationship she had before and still do that, but it's just ironic that the Wicked Witch who thought her magic was the most special thing about her ends up settling down with a muggle, or a nomad, as they say in Fantastic Beasts.
Daniela, any final thoughts?
And also, I think it was a shame that Nick was Hansel did seem like a genuine friend of Henry. He didn't really want to hurt him. He just took him because he found out he was the killer. He wasn't on his list, and he felt justified in what he was doing, but in the end he was just a pawn, which is a shame because, at the end of the day, what was this guy really doing that was so bad? This is the Coven we're talking about, Gothel's Coven.
Yeah.
He probably did them all a favor.
This is true.
But I really like I'm very excited for whatever is gonna be, whatever loose ends. It's gonna be loose, be tied up. So the show ends with a proper ending, and everybody stays happy. Cause the fan art and the fan fiction for each character and each couple, it's not gonna end. It's gonna be like multiplying like bunnies for eternity, as long as the fandom remains fan and loyal to the bitter end, because that's how fandoms are.
I hope so. I hope there's a bit of positivity to come out of these last few episodes. I'm really starting to enjoy the whole Margot and Tilly thing.
Me too.
Even though Tilly wasn't in this episode, we did get a reference that Margot thinks, I don't know, I've met someone, I think I might stay. And Zelena was like, ooh, is this a cute blonde or something? And yeah, I think at this point she knows, but she's not going to push, obviously, because she knows more about Robin's relationship than she does. So I guess all she can do is hope for the best for Margot, and now that she's decided to stay. But it's kind of funny that Margot was totally aware that her mom had a past, and she was like, ooh, what'd you do? Were you like in the mob or something? And
So sweet.
it doesn't even phase her. This is just my hippie mom, and I love her, and that's who she is. But
and that's why she's such a good match for Alice, because Margot is just a naturally very accepting person with a big heart, and that's the kind of thing that Alice needs.
Yeah, because even when the curse breaks, they're going to be both.
Yeah.
So maybe it's also important for Tilly and Margot to fall in love, like, all over again.
Yeah. And also the "we are both" reference, definitely haven't heard that in a very long time, and I'm glad that they brought it up this episode.
I'm just tired of seeing poor Roger's literally at this point being the only one that's still goddamn cursed. Please wake this man up, 2018. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wake this man up already.
Yeah.
Oh.
He and Alice just need closure with Gothel and everything.
I would give this episode probably about a 6 out of 10. There were some directing choices that I really didn't agree with at times, but all in all, as filler, I thought again it was pretty decent. I mean, we got the answers to some questions about they tied up the Candy Killer storyline with a nice, neat little bow, but still left us wondering, like, what is Facilier going to do now with Nick? With Nick being dead, what are the cops going to do when they find Nick's body? What are they going to think?
Facilier is like Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. He can worm himself out of that.
Because I'm fairly certain when Rogers goes back into the interrogation room to question Nick and sees that Nick is dead, he's going to be hot on the trail of somebody.
Yeah, and Regina has to perk up her eyes and use intimidation to find out if Vasily does have the dagger, because in the trailer he has the dagger and Regina goes to his place to interrogate him, because she knows good and damn well that that motherfucker has the dagger and he wants to use it for whatever he means, and she's gonna stop him. And now the kid and Vasily she's gonna be like, Vasily, you're not gonna use your kissy charms on me. I'm onto your ass. I'm gonna make you either by force or by very intimidation to let you know that she's onto you, and she's gonna take the dagger and she's gonna stop you from doing harm.
I just want Henry to stop being cursed already. Goddamn. I thought for sure they were going to be able to bring him out sooner than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like he's going to be in it the longest. And I get that they can't because he's poisoned and he'll die, but Nick literally shoved the fucking paper in his face and said, "Look, you are Lucy's father." And he still wouldn't believe. I'm like, damn, boy, you are your mother's son. Talk about hard up. I mean, I knew that I remember in season 1 how difficult it was to get Emma to believe. Mm-hmm. And it took Henry almost dying for her to get to that point. And Henry's looking like it might go down that road before he decides to believe it too. I mean, he had the proof right in his hand, and he still didn't buy it. I'm like, what the fuck? Man, he is just like Emma, hard as a rock.
Exactly, walls up.
But I honestly find that ironic, because Nick's like, for someone who's the truest believer, you are really frustrated.
That's in the family. That comes in the family, my dear. That's how Emma was in the beginning of season 1, and that's how Henry is right now. He's cursed. Only the difference is that Henry's cursed and he doesn't believe shit about he's who he really is and who his wife is, and all the magic and fairy tale mumbo jumbo is true. That's the difference, because Emma wasn't cursed. She wasn't bad. She was taken from the Enchanted Forest as a newborn baby, and she was raised in the foster system without no memories of her parents, who they were. Only she remembers that they abandoned her, and she's an orphan alone.
For as slow as this episode was, I have a feeling next week's episode is going to be really good. I mean, anything that is a hook centric is destined to be good. But, we haven't seen a lot of Alice in the last couple of episodes. I'm always glad to have her back, and I know this was a big, huge plot point that they haven't finished yet. Us figuring out the identity of the Guardian, and I mean, obviously Anastasia was a Guardian, but Rumple let her go so she could be with her sister. So I guess our theories about Alice being the Guardian are apparently might be correct.
Yeah.
possibly. So I guess we will find out next week. It looks like a really tense episode.
Yeah, it has Voodoo Queen, it has Matt Archer, it has Henry, it has Rumple, it has Nightbrook. Cause like a little mix of both, but technically it's more Rumple, Voodoo Queen, Facile, Nightbrook stuff than the rest. But it's like a mixture still, and it's a very interesting episode. I'm looking forward to watching it.
I hope it's
All
good.
right. Well, oh, go ahead.
I just was saying I hope it's good.
Me too. I want the end of this season to go out on a high note.
Yeah.
So, if nobody else has any thoughts left,
I'm gonna miss
think we will-
Selena as a greenie witch. She's gonna be forever green and forever wicked in my heart. After the show ends, will ever be greenie.
I wish I had spoilers to give people. Nobody sent in any questions to be answered. I have not seen any spoilers going on. The filming is wrapped, so
Oh.
there's really no spoilers. Right now, it's pretty much up in the air as to what's going to go on. So we will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. For episode 18, The Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't even have spoilers about what the actors are doing. I know a couple of them are doing some series work, and I know Colin's got something going on that he won't discuss. But apart from that, everybody I think is on vacation.
Yep.
well, it's kind of well earned.
Exactly.
So until next week, my friends. Yes, Ro?
Yep. And Wicked always wins.
Forever.
Forever. Bye, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.